Hi, this is the analysis of Nick 4 here. For this video, I'm just talking about like my quick thoughts on the House of the Dragon season 1 episode 1. So this is a brand new TV show and it's my thoughts on it, quick thoughts. Like I just watched the episode. The episode came out last night, but I missed it last night. And for those of you that don't know, this is the prequel to Game of Thrones. So Game of Thrones being such a popular show, but even though that show ended badly, like in the last season was so bad, but a still very good show, like in its peak, like very like almost untouchable. But this show as well, so far so good. Like I'm liking what I'm seeing. But it's just episode 1. Like, share, subscribe, and share the video all over. Now, House of the Dragon. First off, like I really like about it, like is the overall. And again, guys, like I'm not gonna very light spoilers, light spoilers, but I'm gonna try to avoid some spoilers. Is the overall conflict that's gonna be setting up like for future episodes and all that. You have the overall conflict, and for those of you that don't know, it's like medieval type drama fantasy, but it's so it's so well written. So the overall conflict that's being set up between the characters, I like the pacing of it. The pacing, pretty good. The overall. Now, getting to know the characters. That was problem for me. Like when I first watched Game of Thrones, the original series. Now, Game of Thrones, I know to have lots of characters, a lot. So characters here, there, everywhere, and you gotta relearn the names. I forget the names and the last names. And the good thing though, like I read the book on this, Fire and Blood, so I kind of know, a little bit of, who's who and what's where, and location names and all that. So yeah. So going back to it, the overall conflict, I set up the conflict. Who's gonna be the heir after this current king, and you do see kind of like he has to kind of pick and choose between his brother and his daughter and all that, and so like I'm assuming there's gonna be conflict set up after that too. Further conflict and factions. Game of Thrones like is known to have lots of factions, right? So there's gonna be factions are choosing sides. I'm assuming between who's gonna be like on the throne next. Now, what it really does well is the dialogue. The dialogue, a great dialogue from Game of Thrones is in this as well. And keep in mind, this is just episode 1, right? So some of this I could change. Now, the dialogue is very well done. It's always very suspenseful to hear the dialogue, and very, like it really makes you feel more immersed and connected to this world. Going from this character, like you really get to learn about the characters and motivation and their overall thoughts, and what's very nice about it, like a certain scenario will happen and then everybody has to kind of, I just like in real life, right? We are a victim of circumstances. Something will happen, a scenario, a situation will change, and then this character reacts a certain way, and so on and so on. So you get the great dialogue out of that, and through the great dialogue there is kind of, sometimes there is doubt, like in certain characters, or there'll be, whatever it be, happiness or corruption, and like this show does, the original Game of Thrones does well in that, and it's back in this, so far. So yeah, so the dialogue, that's what really made Game of Thrones really special to me, and to see it in here, that's it's good. Now, a transition between scenes. Some of the transition between scenes was a bit weird. Something will happen and then you kind of lose track of what's going on. They kind of cut too quickly or something like that, and you kind of lose track of what's going on. I like in the middle of the episode, if you watch, there's a jousting tournament, and it kind of cuts too often, so you kind of lose track of what's going on, and yeah, so the some of the cuts could have been like a little more I don't know, more improved there, improved. And as well, this one, like so far though, I can tell it's a very violent show. So if you don't like violent shows, right, don't watch this. The violence is there, right? So, and very bloody, gruesome, gory. The same thing like from Game of Thrones, but with this even more so because it's more, they have more technology like for the CGI and all that, and better overall prosthetics and animation. So now compared to when Game of Thrones was first filmed, so House of the Dragon, man, I can tell it's gonna be a very violent show. So if you don't like violence, I don't watch it. So yeah, there's that as well. But the overall, I could tell because this is gonna be. It's not gonna be as big scale as Game of Thrones. It's only focusing on King's Landing. For those of you that know, right? So it's just the main kingdom, King's Landing. I'm assuming they're going to other areas as well. I can't say much because I know a little bit like from the books. So yeah, they're a King's Landing. King's Landing centered mostly, for the most part. Maybe Dragonstone as well, the stepstones. So going into it too as well, Game of Thrones was bigger scale because you had the north, the south, the west. You have Essos perspective. You have Beyond the Wall. You have the Night's Watch and all that. But at Game of Thrones, many different areas you got to see. But I think this is just gonna be it's gonna be more it's gonna be smaller scale. So yeah, and so far they're like in this episode they do a lot. Like to make you very interested, like in the King's Landing. King's Landing. This is like King's Landing when it was bigger compared to the Game of Thrones. So this is the King's Landing like of the past. The throne is bigger and everything, and you get to see the overall Dragon's Den. I can't remember what it's called, but the like at the very top of the hill or whatever, Aegon's Hill. I can't remember, but yeah. So it's there. So the King's Landing now, and I love the King's Landing plot from Game of Thrones. It's like whenever I got King's Landing scenes, it's probably the best part of Game of Thrones because you get to see the politics and the intrigue. And this is what this is episode one like is mostly about. You have I love the scenes like with the king, Hand of the King, Master of Coin or whatever. You have the Maester, you have the brother of the king, and there's all these. You have the daughter like of the king, and there's the political dialogue between them, and you get to hear about the motivations, and they're setting up like further like future conflict and the factions. You're kind of getting to know the factions and who hates who likes who. They do a very good job of that. Especially like when you see the character's motivation, you really start to see this person doesn't like this person, and so on and so on. So they do a good job with that. Yeah. So overall, I can't say much more, but overall, like solid episode, 9 out of 10. Very solid. Now some of it though does kind of drag a little bit, and the overall transition between scenes, as I mentioned before. But overall, like it reminds me a lot of like when Game of Thrones was good. So I hope to get more of this. I just hope, I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, but I have to manage my expectations because I remember how Game of Thrones ended. The good thing about this, they have source material to go off of. So Fire and Blood, which is the books, George R. R. Martin, they have books to go off of, right? So they have no excuse to run out of source material. So like, share, subscribe, share the video all over, and let me know, guys. Comment down below for feedback, and like, have you watched Game of Thrones? Let me know. Thanks for watching.